Hello and welcome to the SASSEE Show. I'm your host, Gail Saunders. Today we're talking Stonewall, everything Stonewall, and joining me today is Director of Community Programming, Zach Boyer. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So talk to me about the programming, and we might want to give a shout out to your
Executive Director,
Yes.
Absolutely. So normally our Executive Director, Denzel Porteous, is able to join us, but he's quite busy, as you know.
Yes.
Yeah, June has
Busy
him.
season.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So really excited that I have the opportunity to speak with you today about everything that's happening this June.
We're so glad to have you. We have a lot to cover because I want to start with the history of Stonewall. I remember why it started. And so can you just help give us a little level set on why it started and the importance of Stonewall?
Sure. So we're really lucky to have a namesake like Stonewall, reminiscing back to the Stonewall Uprising in New York. But here in Columbus, it started in 1981.
Yes.
So at the time, if we remember good old Jerry Falwell,
Yes.
he was coming to Columbus to try to create a new hub, a location in Columbus as the hub for the moral majority.
Yes.
So at the time, there were leaders within multiple organizations. We had Black leaders, we had feminist leaders, and we also had LGBTQ plus leaders who came together to demonstrate and say, that's not who we are here in Central Ohio. And so they had enough folks to where Jerry didn't even show up.
Scared Jerry
Scared
away.
him right away.
Uh-huh.
Then that evening, it was known as like a family gathering of folks who were just celebrating the momentum. And they said, we have to keep this going. And so from there, we had our first Pride March soon after. Less than 200 people. A lot of folks, just due to the discrimination of both employment,
Yes.
parents' rights, a lot of them had paper bags over their heads. And
because
so
they fear of repercussions for being seen.
Exactly. So we're really fortunate to be in the space where we are now, almost 44 years later, where we're able to march proudly down all of High Street. It seems that we take up the whole thing now. We're really fortunate to be in that space now. We're really, really fortunate.
Wonderful. We'll talk about Pride Month and the Pride Parade in just a bit, but I want to stay there with the 1981,
Sure.
when you began the evolution of Stonewall over time. I was, before, as we were talking,
Yeah.
I said, I remember Stonewall Union. And so I know we've evolved, and
Yeah.
talk about the evolution of Stonewall.
Definitely. So when we first started, we weren't a 501c3 organization as we are today. So there was a lot of not just activism, but political movement as well. So there was a lot of lobbying against legislation that was happening both locally as well as federally. We had folks that were going to the first March on Washington for LGBT rights, then gay and lesbian rights.
Yes.
So now we've added so much more to the roster of who we see, who we prioritize in terms of our efforts. There's been, in 44 years, lots of different leadership and lots of different
Yes.
priorities. We've had different programs that have grown and become their own organization. Our Phoenix LGBT youth programming has now evolved into what is now Kaleidoscope Youth Center.
Very familiar.
Yep, Central Ohio, and pretty much the state's only LGBT youth center. So
Yes.
really proud that we're a part of their legacy as well. A lot of our lobbying evolved into what is now Equality Ohio. So the folks that are in the state house, making sure that our rights are still intact. And they've been really busy lately. At the
Yes,
state house.
with all of the where we are today in our climate and culture of Columbus, but the nation.
Absolutely.
And so I can only imagine how busy and how focused you've been on some of those issues. The evolution went from a group of people who were really excited that you were able to scare Jerry Falwell away, and to where you are today.
Absolutely.
Over the course of 44 years. What have you seen as part of some of the significant changes in terms of people's mindset, not necessarily where we are today as a nation, but
Sure.
Just how you have seen that change over time?
Yeah. So I think that we can really reflect that our state representatives oftentimes aren't reflective, especially of our city, though oftentimes that visibility does come at a cost. We can see that as we make ourselves more visible, that makes ourselves more of a target. Oftentimes we see countless bills coming through that are targeting not only the adults that are living our full authentic lives, but really going after the kids that are really just starting out to find out who they are. So really fortunate that we are in a space where our city oftentimes is behind us.
Yes.
Folks like our city council, folks like our mayor are often in full support of the LGBTQ plus community, even when our state representatives aren't with us as well.
Understood. So quite a bit of work still to do in that space.
Absolutely.
But it's come such a long way.
Agreed.
Yes. And so, speaking of a long way, I'd like to talk about the Pride Parade.
Absolutely.
And Pride Month, because that too has seen an evolution and has grown significantly. Thank you, Zach. And we talked about the evolution of Stonewall. Also, there's been an evolution of, well, let's start with Pride Month. I know at one point it was Pride Day, and now it's Pride Month. So a celebration throughout the month of June.
Absolutely.
Share that.
So we kick off with celebrating at City Hall. We're fortunate to have our month recognized by City Hall. So they'll illuminate the entire outer perimeter of City Hall with rainbow lights.
Other companies I see do that as well
they
now.
They do, yeah.
I know Nationwide, I think,
Nationwide, I think AEP does it as well. So really fortunate not only to see that representation in pretty lights, but also in their donations and their sponsorship of our organization. So though Pride is a big undertaking, those funds aren't just going to Pride, they're going to sustain our programming throughout the entire year. So as the director of community programs, it's not just a moment in June that we get to experience that generosity. That's helping sustain our coming out groups, our therapy and support groups, all the different programming that we're able to do throughout the year.
And that's so good for us to know and understand that it's not only about June.
Exactly.
You're doing work throughout the year to support and elevate LGBTQAI and making sure that the community continues to feel supported throughout the year.
Absolutely. Yeah, we say often that our Pride is 365 because we're not just queer in June, we're queer all year round, and all the beauty that comes with that and all the consequence that comes with that as well. We're able to take what we do in June to kind of accelerate what we're doing throughout the rest of the year.
And so, speaking of June, I know that over the first weekend of June, you had something that new that happened that has not happened before.
Absolutely.
And so talk about that, because I know that already occurred, but let's share that.
We're coming off the heels of our inaugural Pride Hop in collaboration with the Short North Alliance. So similar to last year's Holiday Hop in December, this one that we had today, we were really excited. We closed off starting at Star Avenue in the Short North all the way to 5th Avenue. We had different LGBT vendors, performers. We had spaces where folks that are allies and really want to be accomplices in our fight for equity and equality. We had action stations where they can learn about how they can do more. We had a phenomenal gallery show in our gallery Between the Walls that featured photography from our Pride volunteer photographers from Pride 2023. So beautiful snapshots of the march as well as the festival, and just seeing the life that comes out of those images. We're so excited to have that in our gallery all through the month of June and into July. We also have, starting tomorrow, we have our annual Pride Brunch fundraiser at the Athenaeum. The day after that, we have our aforementioned City Hall illumination on the 3rd. And we're starting something new this year because, again, as we think of the LGBTQ plus community, there are so many other identities that are intersecting with that. And this year, we're starting our first interfaith Pride service on June 11th. So bringing in faith leaders, it is. So following other organizations and other Pride festivals such as Washington, D.C., we're welcoming in faith leaders from all different walks of faith, not just Christianity, but folks who are queer and want to express their self through their faith. We'll be hosting that service in the center on June 11th. We're really excited to start that.
So a lot of activities in the center.
Absolutely.
And then you mentioned the gallery. How can people come and see the gallery?
Absolutely. So our center is open to the public Monday through Friday. We're open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. But we also have opportunities during some moments of activation like Gallery Hop and then the aforementioned Pride Hop. So moments usually at the beginning of the month where we'll feature different LGBTQ plus artists. We're really fortunate to have a partner with local artist Michael Bush. He helped a lot with the Franklinton art scene, is now helping us to make sure that we are representing not just LGBT artists, but folks who have intersectional identities. So Black queer artists, women, trans folks, Latina identities, folks who are living with disabilities, so that it's not just the same gay artists that we've been seeing. It's a wide range of different LGBTQ plus people with various identities.
Excellent. So we've talked about the new things happening.
Absolutely.
Something that has sustained over the course of time is the parade.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the parade and how it has grown over the number of years. Yes, so started very small. I remember, look, I'm dating myself a little bit, but I remember that. And now it's just huge. Why does that parade seems like it's just a proud moment, and I think it's something that everyone can see. So why the parade?
So if we think of our organization's namesake, Stonewall, that was a moment of uprising and resistance against discrimination. And as much as it is a moment of celebration today, it's still a marked moment of protest. Transgender folks like myself oftentimes have had to hide in the shadows. And now we get to be right at the intersection of broad and high and just be our authentic selves and not hiding, as well as really having a moment to celebrate all of the different organizations and companies that help sustain our organization. And not just through our financial contributions, but also if we think back to employment law, a lot of our LGBT community couldn't be out at work. And now instead of hiding who we are, we have employee resource groups and different contingencies through these large organizations. We know in Columbus, we have international organizations that have their hub here in Columbus, and they have these groups that 20 years ago they wouldn't have been able to be out. And now they're with their company logo and a special t-shirt, walking down the street and just really making sure that our visibility is something that we can harness. We can keep that visibility and harness it into power throughout the rest of the year.
You know, you mentioned the corporations, and that's something that has grown significantly because often they were not part of the parade. And so now you see, I could, you can name so many, but I won't, but you can see so many of our corporations that are Fortune 500 companies locally that are supporting it. And then, of course, there are employee resource groups within those organizations that celebrate the voices of the community. So I think that has been one of the big. How large is the parade?
Well, last year we tried to set our limit to be around 1,700 marchers, and I think we were a little over 1,800.
Outstanding.
So it was quite a few folks. Every year we have to think of all the logistics that come with that, all the safety concerns, as well as everybody wants to be a part of it. So we want to make sure that we can keep it as organized and as open as we can to make sure folks are able to participate as well as participate safely. So sometimes we do have to kind of limit some things, and no one likes limits, but we do what we can to make sure that everyone is having a safe and really fun time at Pride.
And that's the thing that is just so, the visibility of it. And when you think about it, you said it was created out of protest.
Absolutely.
And so to be able to turn that protest into a celebration and the growth of it, bringing more people into the circle, as they say, is something that, I'm going to use this cliche, but something that Columbus can be proud about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that when we think of the logistics of it, we are bringing close to 800,000 people to Central Ohio. It can garner up to, I think the last time we looked at the stats, it was over $6 million in revenue just in one weekend. So we think of the economic power that comes with that. So as much as it is moments of fun, it's moments of protest and staying and remembering and really making sure that we're highlighting that. But also, when we think of the fiscal part of it, we're bringing a lot in to sustain our city that is full of festivals. We're a big part of that as well.
I think that's so important because oftentimes people don't think about these parades and festivals being part of the economic fabric and helping to generate economic strength in the community. That's something that I think is important for organizations such as yourself to remind us. Yes, we do all of these things, but we also are bringing money into our economy as well. And that's very important. And so we thank you for that. We'll talk a little bit more about all you're doing in just a moment. But first, we'll have to take another break. And so we'll be right back with the SASSEE Show. Thank you, Zach. Now, we've talked about the evolution of so many things, the history of Stonewall, the Pride Day to Pride Month, the Pride Festival. We've talked about all of those things. One of the things you said earlier is that you are 365 Pride.
Absolutely.
And that means that there's a lot of programs that go on throughout the year. I'd love to be able to understand what those programs are. And then
Yeah.
I know you have some specific dates as well coming up soon.
Absolutely. So we have everything from coming out groups. So if there are individuals that are really exploring their identity, and again, you can explore your identity at any age. We also have our Trailblazers program for our 55 and above adults. So they do,
I get it.
oh yeah, they're doing everything from this Friday, they're going to the ballet. They also did a haunted ghost tour of Green Lawn Cemetery. They also do lots of educational programming as well. We brought in a personal trainer a couple weeks ago. They also learned from our CODA folks about what are some changes within our public transit system.
Excellent.
So lots of educational programming with that, as well as they do their monthly happy hour at Slammers. So we do lots of fun things with our Trailblazers. We also have our trans therapy group that's in collaboration with North Central Mental Health. So that's a group therapy that happens weekly, and they run in 12-week cohorts. We recently started Trans Taco Tuesday, and that one's just lighthearted, and that's in collaboration with Central Outreach, just to have a twice-a-month gathering where transgender folks, we're not coming for therapy, or we're not coming we're just coming to eat some tacos and to kiki and have a good time.
Yes.
We also recently have started doing annual clothing swaps. We've done plus size, we call them fat swaps. So opportunities for folks in the plus size community that it can be hard for us to find clothing, but bringing our resources together and swap clothing. My wonderful colleague, Jackie, who is our senior programs coordinator, also started Friendly Flirt, which has been, we're doing a quarterly speed dating event. So opportunities for folks to meet outside of online spaces and just have genuine little 4-minute dates and see where it goes from there. We just hosted one last week. We also have lots of blood drives that we do with the Red Cross. And though folks might think that's counterintuitive, since a large portion of our community isn't allowed to donate, we have a history where absolutely lesbians and queer women, especially dating back to the early days of the HIV/AIDS crisis, hosted blood drives so that we could serve those of us who couldn't donate. So when we think about the need for blood donations, we're still at a deficit since 2020. So folks like the Red Cross are doing their best to make sure that whether it's LGBT folks or anyone, all of us have different needs where we might need blood, whether that is an accident or if someone has a health issue. So a blood boycott is not really what we see as being valuable. We want to make sure we give opportunities for our allies and folks who are eligible to donate as well. I could go on and on about programs, but one of our biggest programs, of course, is Pride. And so we have that coming up. The timing of this interview couldn't be better. So in a couple weeks, we have our annual Pride March starting. The kickoff is going to be 10 a.m. on Saturday the 15th, but we also have the festival the day before and the day of. So festival on the 14th and 15th. And we would love for folks to come out and celebrate with us.
Wonderful. And the festival, where does it start and where is that located?
We're back at Goodell Park. So lots of lovely tree coverage. We're back in our own neighborhood. We're just a few blocks away. Exactly. So we're really fortunate to be back in that space. And we've partnered with folks like the Convention Center to where we have specific parking for folks who might have mobility issues or using wheelchairs, as well as we have worked with them to block off certain areas to where folks who are using wheelchairs will have a beautiful view of the march. So that's part of the evolution of what our organization is doing is we might not be perfect and we're never going to be perfect because we're humans, but as we grow and learn, we do better. So we've heard from a lot of folks that are within the disabled community that they don't feel they have a place at Pride and they don't feel like there is amenities or access that can help them.
That makes it easier for them, that supports them.
Exactly. So we've listened and we're doing our best. We're going to continue to grow. We're also partnering with Spectrum Mental Health, who works specifically with folks on the autism spectrum, because oftentimes folks can become overstimulated in large groups, lots of noise, lots of just people. So we have designated quiet zones where folks can take a moment to de-stress and kind of decompress if they're overstimulated during the festival as well. So again, we're listening.
That's what I'm saying. You're listening to what the feedback that you're getting.
Absolutely.
And you're finding ways to create some solutions for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's going to be bigger and better than ever. We have our headliners that folks can check out on our website, stonewallcolumbus.org.
Can you say that one more time?
Stonewallcolumbus.org. Or folks can follow us on social media everywhere at Stonewall Columbus. So we have lots of opportunities for folks to get a preview of some of the entertainers that are going to be at Pride, but they also are going to have opportunities to view the many vendors that we're going to have at the resource fair. Absolutely.
Excellent. So again, thank you for all the work that you're doing and for continuing the journey of improvement. You talked about you listen to community, you listen to the voices and feedback, and you've made adjustments, and you continue to make sure that you are a space for all.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for joining us. We are excited about the parade and the festival and continued success in all you do.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so excited for this June, so this timing could not be more perfect. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
So before we get any further, would you mind introducing yourselves to our audience today?
Hi, I am Amani McNair, Miss Black Teen, Ohio. Nice to meet you all.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Jocelyn Edwards, and I am your 41st Miss Black Ohio America Queen.
All right. Well, congratulations so much. And I am the pageant director, Fancheon Page. I've been directing the pageant since part of the pageant system since 1994. And I am looking at 23 years. So this year's pageant will mark for me 23 years. I finally did the math. So normally I stop at 10, but I decided to count today. So we're excited. We're getting ready for the 2024 pageant where you ladies will be turning over your crowns. How do you feel?
I'm really excited.
Yeah. What would you say has been the biggest challenge this journey for you?
To be honest, the speaking part, I've got more comfortable, but talking to a whole bunch of strangers sometimes seems a little scary, but being in the pageant and stuff and how many times I've done it, I've gotten better, and I have my sister here to help. So
Great. And for you, what's been the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge for me personally has been managing my time. As I am a very active member of the community, being able to balance my pageant duties as well as work life and school life has been kind of challenging, but thankfully I've been able to power through.
Great. So to young ladies who are just getting into the pageant, I know for you, this was your first pageant experience, right? Sort of, kind of, yes. Okay. And then for you, this was your second pageant experience. So what would you tell a young lady who wants to get started as we're starting to recruit? I know you both have been active with this year's recruiting. What would you tell someone that's now getting ready to go through the pageant ranks? What would you tell them or how would you help them to prepare?
I would say don't go in thinking that you have to know how to do pageants. There is no correct or perfect way. It's just being active and being able to be helped, especially if you have those around you that are supporting you, because I think that's what continued to let me be on this journey and have so much fun with it. I had a lot of supporting people, and it was a easy experience to do certain things because I had help. I didn't have to go in not knowing anything, as I hadn't been in a pageant since I was really, really little, and it was just one. So this was my first big pageant. So I would say don't go in thinking you have to be 1,000 pageants, have to have so much experience, because you don't.
Okay, great. And then how about for you?
Well, I can definitely concur with what Amani has said. But for me, it would be having an open mindset and knowing your why for getting into pageantry, or your what and your how. Meaning, what is it that you want to accomplish within your journey? And then how do you plan on accomplishing the goals that you set for yourself on that journey? So
Awesome. Now, one of the biggest things that we really pride ourselves on is the scholarship pageant. So not only do we teach the beauty, the etiquettes, and all those other fun things, and making over 50-something appearances collectively, that has been a really big year for us, and we're so excited. And as we're winding down to our date of June 15th, which is our pageant date, we've had a chance to run into a lot of young ladies. A couple of topics come up about scholarship. So now I know in the past when we've had our teen queen, she went off to college and she still represented the team because of the way the ages are. And then for you, what we decided to do something different this year is because you got one more year to go before college hits. we're going to open up a 529 college plan for her and then deposit the monies in that account so that funds will be available even in 2 years once she's down the line as you prepare for college.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like that's one of my biggest accomplishments, that I'm the first teen to be in high school. They have to open up a whole bunch of stuff because of my age. When I went in, I was 16. So it was all of a process. Everyone there was quite older than me, and then I think only one girl was younger than me.
Yes.
And so having to open up a whole nother part of the scholarship was kind of like a big accomplishment, because
Absolutely.
I'm the first to do it.
Absolutely, and we love it because it gave us the experience. We've always had the 529 plan as a pocketbook for us that we would kind of fall on if we ever needed it. So now we need it, and I'm proud to say that we're able to help you get that next step going on as one of the scholarships. I know you've got many other scholarships, but just one of the ones that we were glad to contribute to. So
Yes.
Congratulations on that. And then for you, we're doing something extra unique as well. So you want to tell us about your scholarship opportunity?
Well, sure thing. Well, I am currently enrolled at Columbus State Community College for social work, and I am receiving a scholarship award from Miss Black Ohio to pay for my summer semester, and thankfully it is my last semester at Columbus State, so I will be graduating soon.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. So, I had fun this year. I don't know about you two. I had a wonderful, wonderful time. I think it's been one of my better pageant year seasons. And so, what would you say was one of the highlights for you?
I think the parade. That whole day was just really fun for me.
Yes.
I loved getting dolled up, getting ready, putting my crown on, then just being with you guys. It was really fun.
It was great. Great. What about you, Jocelyn?
I'm not sure if I can pick one time in particular, but really being able to go out into the community and represent Miss Black Ohio has really been the highlight. Getting people to know more information and more about the pageant system has been great for me. So I've enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you.
Great. No, we've all been in conversations with other young ladies, and we're trying to get them to know more about the pageant. What would you tell them? Are pageants still important? Is there importance to have the pageant, especially in our community? Do you think it's still important?
I think pageants in general are something fun and important to do, but this Miss Black Ohio, anytime I tell someone my title, it's the most important thing that I have to say. It's one thing to be in a pageant. Kudos to everyone. But to be Miss Black Ohio, it's one of the most important things. It's really the foundation of me now. Awesome. And I'm proud to say that this is my title. This is something that I did and I worked for.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me.